Mama Media. Lepak together, share cerita.
Hey guys, welcome back to Mama Media Podcast. I'm your host Ruth and this is Brian. Today we're diving into the world of UPSR, PT3 and SPM.
I see. Yeah, this certainly is actually a very interesting topic to talk about, right, Ruth?
Yes.
So I guess right now we'll dive into like a student's life in academic and experiences, which honestly it does play an important part in Malaysian schools and students' future. So we'll right now discuss like what these exams are and how does one prepare for it and how to balance everything along the way lah. As once a student that took these exams already, it definitely is kind of stressful. So we will actually provide you some tips on how to like manage it lah.
Right. So let's start by breaking down the exams. The UPSR experience. What is UPSR and how did you prepare for that?
What is UPSR? UPSR is like the students that sit for the exam are like standard 6. So it's basically an exam that transitions you from your primary school into high school. Like it's to test your knowledge here for this. And my experience with UPSR, well, it was kind of okay lah. I mean, I didn't do too good, I didn't do too bad as well. Well, basically, I mean, my UPSR, the only thing that I really got A's in was English. So, but during UPSR time, it was actually a fun time actually, where the way I studied was actually pretty nice. I had fun while learning, so it was the good old days. So, how about you, Ruth?
I would say that UPSR wasn't that stressful for me because my school we had a lot of extracurriculars where our teachers would stay back on weekdays from like 4 to 6 to like teach us our extra subjects, plus we had weekends on Saturdays morning to around 12 we would cover around 2 subjects. And for the days where we had UPSR, the teachers would ask us to come in early. So like 6 and before the time UPSR starts, we would have like a small revision of like catching up on what we can do to answer the questions. Like it's like a recharge.
Oh, so I guess most schools do that actually. They tend to do that where they want the students to be truly prepared for the UPSR because some people think that UPSR is very important to them. But right now UPSR is abolished. So what is your opinion on the government's decision to abolish UPSR?
To be honest, I don't think that they should have abolished it UPSR because it was like a type of transition on where you experience your first government exam. Like it shows somewhat a sense on how government exams are prepared, how it's run through, like how it's not by your school but by the government, and that outside teachers would come in and like jaga the place. It's very much different to how you expect your school exam to be like, and like a government exam that prepares you to move forward in your high school. Because if you don't pass like your BM in UPSR, you go to this thing where it's called peralihan. It's like a year back of what your normal age will transcend into.
So
like,
basically, government schools would have the peralihan lah.
Yeah.
Because for us private schools, we don't really have the option for peralihan. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's either you change schools to retake your UPSR or you pass the exam. It's either that.
Yeah, it's either that.
So do you think the time when there were UPSR exams, do you think it helped you prepare for secondary school?
You see, the way I see things is that it depends on an individual person. Personally, the jump from one government exam, which is UPSR, to the next government exam, which was PT3, I wouldn't actually know because I think our batch or my batch of students in particular back in 2019, if I remember correctly, COVID was that time which the government was deciding if the students needed to sit for PT3 at the time due to the lockdowns and home studying and
I'm
like
pretty
that.
sure it was 2020 though.
2020 because I remember my PT3 maybe was I heard it like during 2019 that they were thinking of abolishing PT3. But I think they officially announced it in 2020 that students didn't need.
Yeah, I mean, I was also that 2020 PT3 batch.
Yeah.
So, I guess, so we'll be moving on to our next segment. Since we did kind of talk about it already, we'll be talking about PT3. So now, this is where things get a little bit more serious compared to primary school actually. And so, Ruth, what do you think is PT3 and how do you find the transition from your primary school to all the way to high school where you feel you have more power like that?
In general, moving from primary school to secondary school wasn't any difference. The school rules were still the same. The studiings maybe had doubled up, like the homework may have doubled up, but as for the experience in PT3 and like it's like another government exam, I guess. That's what the previous students will say. It's like they said that PT3 was like the second biggest thing for the earlier batches that did sit for PT3. But like for my experience in transitioning, as I mentioned earlier, my batch didn't sit for it because it was being decided on whether it would be abolished. But it was also during a harsh time where it was COVID plus PT3, I think in 2022 or 2020 when we were actually going to sit for it is when they told us students that we were the first batch to not be sitting for PT3.
Yeah, I remember it was quite hectic at that time where we all studied so much. And then suddenly they did that, oh, you don't have to do PT3 anymore. I mean, we were all like, we were so dumbfounded actually at one point.
Yeah.
Where we were like, we studied so hard for what then?
Because like before that it was like even the schools were so ready to prepare us for PT3 and even though it was during the time of COVID, I think the students were already like ready to sit for it even though it's like we are just coming into school just to sit for the exam. And when they suddenly did that, we were just like, yeah, like you said, dumbfounded.
Yeah, I mean, I was one of the students that was dumbfounded when PT3 just like abolished. I was like, huh? I studied so hard for what? I studied every single day at night. I mean, I did balance my time by like having some leisure time as well when studying for PT3. But yeah, and it was really hard to focus during during those times actually, especially when you're doing like those online classes. If you have a computer and then it's Google Meet, some people they will be like they have online friends and then they'll just like start playing game on class one. I mean, I've known a few people and I'm probably one of the few people as well that did that. So. Well, but then I did still study lah. I mean, my online examinations results were actually quite good because I studied lah. If I didn't study, I think it would be very bad.
Yeah.
What was your reaction, your genuine reaction when you heard that PT3 were like students didn't have to sit for PT3 since I shared mine already? Will you share yours now?
I believe every student would have rejoiced at the sound of that. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I was extremely happy because I was never the type that does well when it comes to exams. I'm the type that has more fails than I have more passings. At the same time, I was also thinking if there was no PT3, like how can students expect what the biggest exam, which is like SPM, would be like, or like how to prepare for it?
Yeah, honestly, kind of true from basically my transition without PT3. Honestly, my grades did gradually get worse at one point when I was slowly going into like the Form 4, Form 5 stages. My grades were actually plummeting like crazy, like legit. Well, I guess some people were actually happy that PT3 was abolished, especially students. But from what I heard, like most parents are not happy with it because of how like actually PT3 is like a test to test their kids on what level of application are they on. Do they need improvement or do they still lack of knowledge? So they need to work harder for their studies. So yeah, I think that's probably the public's opinion on it from what I've mostly heard from most of my relatives that they have their child like take the PT3 exams but then didn't have to take. So that's mostly it.
Right. So moving on to a hot topic, which is the SPM, the major exams for all Form 5 students. This one is crucial for university admissions. What do you think of SPM and how did you handle the pressure that came with it?
Wow, SPM pressure was really pressure because on the amount of things I got to restudy due to COVID actually. Yeah, because COVID really messed up my study schedule because I've been not really studying, I've been more towards going
Yeah,
into
it's
entertainment now.
understandable.
Yeah, so it was actually the beginning, the start of that time was like my grades were very bad, from good to bad, and so I slowly, because I had to lock in and I had to study and study and study before SPM. So I'm actually glad that kind of passed, but the pressure was how did I handle the pressure? Well, I guess I dealt with it like I study first, after SPM only enjoy gao, you know. So I study, after SPM I party hard, I go out a lot, and then I would be like, wow, finally SPM over, but then I didn't really know what was waiting for me next actually. So I guess that's how I handled it lah. Like take it in first, afterwards only kaboom. So well, actually right now SPM is actually ongoing because I have my juniors that they're actually taking SPM right now. Yeah, and they tell me like some of the exams they were like really hard. So what is your advice for the students that are taking SPM right now? I mean, I have something to say about that. Bruce say first.
Well, since SPM is still going on, I guess what students can only do is to try their hardest. There's the saying, work smarter, not harder. It's like where you find the alternatives to make your studying so much more easier.
It's much more fun. I remember you have to add fun in the studies. For us, you're gonna.
But not too much fun. There's always a certain level of fun when you do that. But always remember the main object is you study well with your friends, or you can do online videos, like watch them. That should help students like progress in.
Personally, I don't think that would actually help. I think it will more tempt them to play more games than study or like do like funny faces, you know? Yeah.
Possibly.
Possibly lah. For if you want advice from me, which I did say, remember to have fun, but it's you have to balance it. Like there's a method that I used to use, which is you study for 1 hour, then you take a break for 10 minutes. You can go on social media, play or like 10-20 minutes. Like so, probably 20 minutes you can play maybe a round of Mobile Legends or something like. But don't touch PC games when you're studying SPM. It's gonna really take up a lot of your time. But then if you want to touch PC games, you should actually study twice the amount you play. So the more you play, the more you study, and yeah. But you don't. The more you, the lesser you study, the more you play. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way unless you're born with the brains. but most of us aren't, sadly. So, well, and then another one is to sleep early. Sleep is important as it will help you memorize things, it will also help you freshen up. So basically, if you sleep early, when after you read something, okay, then you don't read it one shot straight away, like one chapter a day. No, you cannot do that. You have to read like few pages, and then like you have to understand it, then go to sleep early. The next morning when you wake up earlier, you reread what you have learned the previous night, and then you'll find it easier to actually memorize things. Well, this was actually, I've done it actually, and it actually helps.
It's always important to take care of yourself physically and mentally. Like people say you should always eat well, take care of your mind, stress. Like if you're doing exams, like it's always important to be stress free. People say that you tend to remember better when you're stress free and when you are healthier.
Remember, mental health matters, mental health matters. Okay, so now that you have gone through most or all of these exams, like we have covered UPSR, covered PT3, covered SPM. So what would you say you have been balancing your studies and life after SPM in the college years?
So you see, I took a break right after SPM. Like I didn't go straight for college applications because I was scared of this new life at first. Because there's so much more responsibilities when it comes to college. But now after that I have sat through college and in like my fourth semester, I would say choosing my diploma in mass communication definitely shows me a different side of me. It shows where I want my career path to go, and it actually helps me understand myself better to see, because I really see where my strengths are after like joining this course. But as for like balancing studies, well, I would say I think I speak on behalf of all students when I say that I'm trying my best to get things done and handed in on time.
Yeah,
Honestly,
absolutely.
for one to excel in college, you need to find the right crowd of students that like pushes you and groups that you work well with. That's extremely important. If anything, college teaches me like self-discipline, because your lecturers are not gonna chase after you for your work like how school teachers will chase you. They'll be like, if you do your work, you do your work. If you hand it in, you hand it in. If you don't, then that's your consequences.
Yeah,
It's like
true.
it's like that. It works that way in college.
Yeah, well, I mean, even I took a break after my SPM because I wanted to party hard, I wanted to enjoy my life. That's why I took a break. And then, I mean, actually, I'm also in the mass comm field, but previously I wanted to take law, but I chose not to in the end. So I feel like mass comm suits me more, lah, where I feel it's more expressive. So here's, I'm not trying to be biased against mass comm right now, but it's actually really enjoyable, lah, where I can get to do the things that I enjoy, even though there are ups and downs, but I feel like it's pretty good. So if you guys are considering on one of like a diploma to enter, actually I kind of would recommend mass comm because it's diverse. I'm not promoting mass comm. I am not promoting mass comm, but it's still a choice. It's a choice for you, our fellow listeners to maybe after hearing this they might go into mass comm. Who knows? You'll be more than happy to have more mass comm students.
I think what Brian is trying to mean is that in mass comm you tend to like venture into so many other fields while learning at the same time. Like we have so many like film subjects that we can study while doing in mass comm. So it's not like just journaling and all that. You have like public relations, you have like advertising that you learn during the times of your studies, you learn like video editing, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if some people who really don't have like much of a choice section. Like, not they have a choice, but like they don't really know what they want to do. They can actually go into this field where it actually kind of, technically it's like your first baby steps into college life. Because some people, they already know what they want to do, some people don't. So that is one of my experiences from my SPM to college life transition, where I actually wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. So, and I slowly explored what I wanted to do, and yeah, that's why I ended up here. So, Jim Ruth, do you have any final words for the SPM students, or like they're going to go in college, since there is like no more PT3 and UPSR, because maybe by the time they see this video, because some people, they don't tend to use their phones during examinations. So maybe hopefully what we have taught today did kind of help you, and for your future references. Yeah, so we hope that it actually helps. So do you have anything for our fellow listeners?
I think as for those who are taking the exams, I think you should always like find a proper space where you can study, like there's no disturbance at all. But if you're the type of person that needs like sounds or music or like background noises, it's your choice, because it's what you are comfortable in. And the most important thing is being comfortable in where you are studying, what you are studying. As for college life, I think it's important to find the right people, honestly. Like, choose the people wisely that you're going to be grouped up with. Honestly, I learned that the hard way. My friend has been trying to tell that to me like for 4 semesters, but I still made the same mistake. So from that, do choose the right people. I'm not saying that you're not choosing them because of this and that. I'm saying this because it will affect not only your work, but it will affect the way you are thinking as well. It might bring you down like a lot. So like, choose wisely when you're in college. Make wise choices.
And if you have any problems in the group, you can just actually reach out to the lecturers. They're actually really helpful.
Yeah.
So I guess thanks for tuning in to our Mamak Media podcast session. Remember to follow us on our social media accounts like X, Instagram, TikTok, and our YouTube channel.
Be sure to like, share this with your friends.
Until next time, lepak together, share cerita.
Bye.